Hello friends and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz and I am back with another emergency card kit. If you're new to my channel, an emergency card is one where we make the cards ahead of time, but we leave the sentiment off. That way, when an occasion arises, you can choose the card that best fits the person and the sentiment that best fits the occasion. To help you with this, on the first and third Friday of every month, I release a free printable kit with a card sketch that fits the sizes of these sentiments and has a whole bunch of free printable sentiments for you. Let's take a look at the kit. This is the much anticipated wedding and anniversary kit. We have happy 0th anniversary. That was my husband's request. Always and forever. And so the adventure begins. Mutual weirdness forever. Wishing you a lifetime of love and happiness. Congrats to the new Mr. and Mrs. Happy anniversary. And then you can stamp something in there or put a little die cut in there. There's lots of ways to work with those, and hopefully we'll do some of that. To have and to hold from this day forward till death do us part. Joy for the journey ahead. Joy and patience for your journey ahead. And they lived happily ever after. Congrats on no longer living in sin. Today we celebrate the best decision you ever made. All of me loves all of you. Look at you guys all married and stuff. Happy Meowie Day. All right, so this page is a 1 3/4 inch circle and the printed circle is just a little bigger. So if you wiggle it until you can't see that printed circle anymore, you'll know that it's centered. And then the second page is the same sentiments and the same sizes, but without that circle. So you can use a different size circle if it fits or just a different shape altogether. This next page has all of our rectangle sentiments and there are tick marks to cut those out, and I will show you that today. Then we have our strip sentiments in 4 different fonts, and there was a little extra room, so I added a few more. Meowage. Meowage is what brings us together today. I had to. Let's celebrate. You are perfect together. Congrats to the lovebirds. And then you have lots of options for sort of mixing this up with your critter stuff. And then here are other 2 fonts. So sort of playful fonts on the first page, and then slightly more fancy fonts on the second page. And then we have our card sketch. This is our second kit for July. The first kit was a Christmas in July, but really it's like holiday in July. Then this is our wedding and anniversary kit. There will be a stepped up version of this kit next Friday, so be sure to come back. I'm so excited about that one. For August, I've had tons of requests for Get Well, so that's probably one of our kits. And I hear those of you who are also asking for Have a Feel Better Day. So that will be in that kit as well. I would love to know which of these other categories you are most interested in. I have quite a few for encouragement, military, and veteran, but if you have other ideas, put all of that in the comments. Your feedback really helps me to make kits that you guys most want to see. There will be at least 2 more holiday kits, one on my channel, and one will be a freebie and a big event that I'm teaching in. I promise the event is free, the kit is free, but stay tuned for that big announcement. Then if you have any wording requests for Christmas, other religious holidays, Thanksgiving, Halloween, any of that, I'm looking for particular wording, especially because so many of you have asked for religious Christmas sentiments, but I don't send religious cards. And so I'm lost on the wording. I want to get it right. I don't want to offend anybody. So I could use your wording ideas for sure on that one. Finally, I have been working on putting together a membership program. We're just in brainstorming right now, but you guys have asked for some really cool things like a sentiment database and a card sketch database and sentiments that are resizable, or where you could delete the sentiments you don't want and duplicate the ones that you do. I would love to be able to provide some of those things for paid membership. I'm also curious what other options you would like to see in that sort of bonus membership program. I have lots of ideas, but I definitely want to try to include the things that will be most useful to you. So put those in the comments if you have them as well. If you find these kits helpful and like the free printables, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll be notified every time there's a new free kit. All right, my friends, we're making 2 cards today using specialty cardstock strips. And I wanted to show you this. This is new from Spellbinders. It's the Treasured Cardstock collection. It comes in silver, gold, and rose gold. And it's got glitter cardstock and a bunch of other options. But here's the thing. You get 15 sheets. There's 3 of each kind. So the glitter, the matte silver, Then this is like a brushed silver, pretty shiny, but it's got a little visual texture. And then this mirror card, my friends. And then just a shimmer card that's sort of a taupe. My friends, this is $9. The average cardstock pack from the big brands these days is 10 sheets for $7.50 or $8. I was blown away. So I wanted to share that, and you can get it on sale sometimes, but let's make a card. I'm getting ever so slightly fancy. I'm going to do some hot foil. If you don't want a hot foil, use some pattern paper here. But I want to show you, if you're going to use specialty cardstock or a panel that you've made that you spend some time on, how do you get the most out of it? I'm a hoarder, you know it. All my favorite things I have a really hard time using up. So I'm using the sprinkled confetti Betterpress plate. It came out in a Christmas release from Spellbinders, right? But honestly, it doesn't have to be snow. And you guys, I got the new purple one. I couldn't help myself. Look how pretty she is. And now I can put it on camera. My old one, I could not put that on camera. So I have heated up my plate. I have Aura foil taped to the cardstock and taped to the plate. I don't like it when it shifts and I get doubles. I put the plates on top and I ran it through. I use the magnet from my Misty to pick up the Betterpress plates or my big glimmer plates. The Betterpress plates foil so beautifully, my friends. I can't even tell you. This is going to be hard to pick up on camera. That Aura just gives an iridescent shimmer all over. And I love that. And I can't cover all that up. So I am trimming off not just the 1/2 inch strip that is in gray on our sketch, but an extra 1/8 of an inch so that I have this middle panel that's 3 inches. That's the same size as the purple panel on our card sketch, and I will save it for later. Then I have a piece of white shimmer cardstock that is a little bigger than that 3 by 5.5, an extra 1/4 inch on the top and on the side. That way, once I run it through, I can trim off all around the edges and make sure those edges are nice and straight. It's the Orange Peel Quilt 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders. It's retired, I think. You can still get it like on eBay and a few small shops, but you could use any embossing folder here, right? This is what I do when I'm having a hard time mixing patterns. Sometimes my brain struggles with that. So any embossing folder. I have put my 2 green pieces on the side, and then I'm going to glue my embossed panel onto a piece that's 3 1/4 by 5.5, that blue piece. And it's going to leave me these tiny little 1/8 inch strips hanging out on either side. I cheated here. I have a bunch of 65-pound cardstock that I've had for a decade, maybe more. Well, I put that on here because I'm trying to use what I have, dig through the supplies that are taking up space that I don't reach for as much. And if it's just a layer, that's working really well here. On this sketch, I have something slightly smaller than our normal rectangle as the mat, okay? Normally, we have 1.5 by 2.5, and that's the blue layer. The green layer is 1 3/8 by 2 3/8. So I just glued those together. Then these are my scrapbook.com strip dies. I love them. They're the most affordable strip dies I found. I love that they're slimline and size. And this is what I do when I have specialty cardstock scraps that are too small to run through my trimmer very easily. I just run them through with my strip dies. So I am going to alternate between the matte silver cardstock and the mirror cardstock. So the shiniest and the most matte that isn't just the shimmer, because I thought the shimmer had kind of a different color to it that I didn't like as much on this card. So I put the first one on there, and then I wanted a little shim where the green cardstock is so it doesn't look like there's this dip in my card. So it's ever so slightly smaller than a 1/2 inch by 1 inch. And I will tuck that under the first strip, and all of the strips will then rest on that when they get to the green cardstock. It just levels it all out, and I like that much better. I'm going to line them up. I'm alternating and using wet glue. If you get wet glue onto your specialty cardstock, you can just use a little water on a rag and very carefully wipe that away while it's still wet. Then I will flip the whole thing over and trim off the excess with my scissors. I added 1 millimeter foam behind my rectangle, and then I doubled it up on the edge that overlaps the green. And I'm making sure that that's centered on my 4 strips. and then we can work on the sentiment. I'm using a rectangle sentiment. I just want happy anniversary. When I put this in the trimmer, I am lining up the tick marks on the top and bottom on the wire guide of my trimmer, or just on the blade of your trimmer. And I'm going to trim not all the way through. I'm stopping when I get to that header, okay? So I'm doing that on all 4 of those sets of tick marks, and I'll end up with flaps. That way I can rotate and I have tick marks still there on the sides to connect, and I can cut apart these sentiments really, really easily. When they're cut out, these are 1 1/4 by 2 1/4, and they're perfect every time. I'm going to go ahead and add a little removable adhesive onto the back of there in case I change my mind later. But my friends, that finishes up card number 1, and I still have a green panel to save for another card. Okay, I have more paper to show you. This is from Inky Rose. It's the Inky colors, and the back of this page has emergency sentiments on it, and you just cut them out. They're about 3/4 of an inch. And then I am obsessed with this one. It's sort of glossy, and so it looks like it's been foiled, even though there's no actual foil on here. You guys know I don't normally talk much about the pattern paper that I'm using, but I am obsessed with this. I think it's so, so pretty. I just got it, and I know that we all do this. So for me, if I get in great paper, I have to cut it right away, or I won't use it. Here is my A2 panel, okay, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm cutting off slightly more than a 1/2 inch, okay? So it is 5/8 of an inch, a 1/2 inch plus 1/8 of an inch. And I'm doing that on both sides so that I have a 3-inch panel in the middle. You certainly could line up your card so that they were all in a row, and then I'm just adding little strips of specialty cardstock behind here. You guys, this is like the stretch your favorite cardstock episode. I'm telling you. I added a little strip of glue behind there, and then what you didn't see, because it's boring to watch glue dry, is me leaving it there to sit for maybe a minute. I wanted the glue to get tacky. Paper Rose cardstock is a little shiny, and then that silver cardstock's a little shiny, and I didn't want it to slip around on there and get glue on top of my cardstock where you could see it, and I will do the same thing on the other side. Thin little bead of glue, and then we'll let it dry for a minute, and then we'll go ahead and lay it down. I would love to know what hacks you guys have for stretching your favorite pattern paper or specialty cardstock. Like, how do we get the most out of this? Because they are investments, and we do love them so, so much. So here's my panel, right? I didn't really measure the size of those strips. I think they were about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm not quite following the sketch, but I'm close. And then I'm just going to glue this onto my card base. I looked at it all in a row, but actually I like it better when I flip those around. And so it looks like there's a slightly different pattern in the background than there is on the front. I would love to pop this up, but that makes adding those strips of cardstock a little trickier. And so I might do that in the stepped up cards, but I didn't feel like I needed to take that on here in the intro video. So again, just wet glue. I can add those onto the edge, and sometimes I'm a little off when I cut my pattern paper. I don't want to cut it too big and then I can't get as many pieces out of it as I think. And so sometimes I go to add it to my card base and I have to trim down the card base. Well, this is letting me stretch that. That's what we got by cutting those at 5/8 instead of just 1/2 inch. Then I'll lay our big piece right through the middle. Honestly, if you wanted to skip those strips, I just some days want to let my pattern paper do all the work. On this one, I have strips from 4 of the different kinds of cardstock in that silvered pack. One of them is glitter, and then the matte silver, the brushed silver, and then the mirror foil cardstock. And I'm kind of taping them together just to help me remember my placement. Some days it's a sticky matte, but today I didn't want to accidentally end up with some of that sticky on the specialty cardstock. It can be hard to remove. And so I don't always know what's on my mats, right? You guys have seen me. We kind of just throw it all on there and see what happens. Here's my little shim again, slightly smaller than 1/2 inch by 1 inch. I don't want it to show underneath my silver cardstock. I cut it out of gray so that it's less distracting. If somebody sees the card from the side, probably they're not looking, but I'm looking. and that blends in better with these specialty cardstocks. So I went to add glue onto the second strip and I was like, what am I doing? And I just put a bunch of glue onto my card base. You guys, I know it's not that brilliant, but it seemed brilliant at the time. I was so proud of myself because this was less work than putting glue all over the backs of those strips. You could also put double-sided adhesive on the back of them, which I sometimes do. I love the big rolls from scrapbook.com. They're super affordable. They're very sticky. It works super well. This is again that 1mm foam from scrapbook.com. There's a 1-inch wide strip and a 1/4 inch wide strip, and I love that. Then I'm using my 1 3/4 inch punch to punch out my circle sentiment. Yes, you can use a die, but this is so much faster. I bought 2 more punches during Prime Day just so I would never not have one. I'm going to layer this up on my 2-inch purple circle, and then I cut a matte gold piece that really goes with that cardstock nicely. That is 1 7/8 of an inch. I love the waffle flower circle dies. It's the additional circles for that because it has all of those in-between sizes. And I just love that. All right, my friends, those are our 2 cards for today. I would love to know which of these 2 is your favorite. If you are interested in this free printable kit, all I ask is that you subscribe to my channel. And if you ring that bell, you'll be notified every time there's a new free kit. Beneath the video, you'll see more or show more. And when you click on that, it unpacks the description box. It has all of my supplies and a link to the emergency card kit playlist and instructions for downloading the printable. If you have requests for upcoming sentiments, Get Well Soon is kind of in the lead right now, but everything that we've been talking about and brainstorming that people have been voting for, you can find towards the beginning of the video. I would love your input there. And if you have any ideas on things you would like to see in a membership program, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I will see you next time.